Hey there! This video is an edited down version of a stream I did back in June. Technically, I did do an introduction during that stream, but it was kinda sloppy, so I'm here to explain the idea a little better. Basically, I just wanted to do some kind of special thing for my birthday. For a while, I was considering just playing some game I really like, but eventually I settled on, hey, it's my birthday, I can do whatever I want, so let me talk about Magical Boys. So, this basically just 2 hours of me talking about some specific Magical Boy series that I like, plus some honorable mentions. Anyway, I hope you have fun with this. There's a reason why my VTuber avatar is a Magical Boy. It's because I really like Magical Boys, and they're like 50% of my personality at this point. So, and as you can see on this note here, I did procrastinate a lot on making this slideshow. I had started working on it on like I think I started it after the last Undertale stream I did with my sibling, and then after a few days I started procrastinating, and then like 1 or 2 days before my birthday I remembered, and then I was like, oh shit. And in fact I just remembered there was something else I was supposed to pull up, not to show it on screen, but to like just for myself, because there's the notes on the slideshow itself, but there is also some notes I did for myself on like a Word doc, so just like I can be completely sure that I won't forget anything that I want to say. Anyways, enough stalling. You might be wondering, what is this gonna be about? What even is a Magical Boy? And I'm gonna be very clear, I'm not here to really like define what a Magical Boy is for multiple reasons. Time, I don't have that much time on me, so I would rather spend the time I do have talking about what I actually want to talk about, rather than like semantics of like what is a Magical Boy, what is a Magical Girl, blah blah blah. And as per my second point, even Magical Girl can be a bit difficult to define. The genre/trope has gone through a lot of evolution over the years, such as the older Witch Girl era, and even some aspects that are considered core/requirements for a Magical Girl series are not necessarily present in every Magical Girl series. Like, as examples, the girls themselves transforming. Cardcaptor Sakura doesn't really have a physical transformation, it's her staff that magically changes. Cute Animals/Magical Creature Merchants, Preacher doesn't have a Magical Creature Mentor, and it's still very much a Magical Girl series. And probably another very big one for a lot of people, fighting evil magical enemies. Ojamajo Doremi doesn't have that. So I'm really not here to like talk about definitions or stuff like that. Just note that for me it's a bit of a I know it when I see a thing. And as for my third point, I do believe there are some edge cases that can be subjective. Some people don't consider some Western cartoons like Ben 10, Jake Long, and Danny Phantom, or Tokusatsu Henshin heroes like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai to be Magical Boys or Magical Girls, and that is something I strongly disagree with. You are free to disagree with me, but just note that is the logic that we are going to be working with today. Like I am going to be focusing on some specific series that I think are pretty much like there's not really any discussion as to if they even are Magical Boys or not. They're very clearly Magical Boys. However, I do have like some honorable mentions that might raise a few eyebrows to people that are more like elitistic about their definitions of Magical Boys and Magical Girls. So just be aware, this is the logic we're working with. We're working with, I consider Tokusatsu Henshin heroes and some Western cartoons to be Magical Boys, and I think that the definitions are a bit like on a setting stone as some people seem to think. I'll be focusing on 3 specific Magical Boy series that I really like and that I think I can talk about quite a lot. But I am absolutely obsessed with Magical Boys, so here's some honorable mentions I think you should look into yourself later. Be aware, this is not an exhaustive list of every Magical Boy series/Magical Girl series with Magical Boys out there, just some other personal favorites I'm not gonna talk about with much focus today, because again, I have limited time. Cardcaptor Sakura, like, I did this in slightly wrong order. Can you tell I didn't rehearse this? Magical Girl series that also have Magical Boys to a relevant enough degree to my taste. these two are technically spoilers. The two Breaker ones is technically spoilers. As you can see in this note, actually both only have magical boys for like one episode at the very end, but they are very good boys and I love them, so there you go. Also, they are just really good in general. ML, like, yes, I know a lot of people don't like either of these seasons of Precure, but they are generally my favorites. So even if you're not going there for the magical boys, I think they're very solid seasons. And then these other three, Sakura, Prettier, and Shugokara, I'm gonna point out I am recommending specifically the mangas because, okay, for Cardcaptor Sakura, I didn't really watch the old anime. What I did watch a lot when I was a kid was one of the movies, which, as you can tell, because I watched it a lot, it obviously means I liked it a lot as a kid, even though I didn't really have the context for anything. It was the second one with the blank card and stuff. But the original anime I didn't really watch, so I don't have an opinion of it. But I did watch, aside from that second movie, was the Clear Card anime, which I did really like. I haven't really got into the Clear Card manga yet, but just know I do think the Cardcaptor Sakura manga is really, really good. Pretty is one that not many people talk about for some reason, because the manga is really short. Like, it's 18 chapters, so you can read it very easily in like a week. Like, probably less than a week, because it's just 18 chapters. And the anime, I haven't finished the anime yet for Prettier, but I've gotten like halfway through it at this point. But personally, I can say I vastly prefer the manga. The only thing I'd say I like more about the anime than the manga is that one of the boys' designs is very different. Like, as you can see, there's the protagonist, which is the magical girl, and then there's all these boys down here. These are the magical boys. And then Shugokara, I'll clarify that I recommend specifically the manga, and the anime I did watch of the two first seasons, the original Shugokara and Shugokara Doki. I haven't watched Shugokara Party yet, and I'll say the anime isn't bad, but the pacing can be a bit frustrating, especially if you read the manga before watching the anime, and then you can tell what is being changed, what is not being changed. So editing me here, I went on a mini tangent about Shugokara here originally, but since I had nothing written down for it originally, I just did not know how to phrase it in any way that sounded actually comprehensible. So basically, I vastly prefer the Shugokara manga over the anime, mainly due to a matter of pacing, especially for the second season. The first season mostly follows the manga pretty closely while adding some filler, but the second season kind of juggles the manga story along with an arc around an anime original character called Lolo. While I do like Lolo and her arc in the anime, I'm not a fan of how they handle the pacing, because once we get near the end of the season, the urgency that was in the manga story around stuff happening to Ikuto gets pretty screwed over. Without getting into details, in the manga there's a pretty consistent pace and flow to, yeah, Ikuto is not having a good time right now and there's definitely something wrong going on, but the anime puts new story and filler in between some of these important moments involving Ikuto in a way that, as I said before, it I think kind of ruins the urgency around the situation and overall makes it a bit weaker. So while I don't completely dislike the Shugokara anime, I do think the manga is the better executed version of the story. And also the anime is 3 times longer, not 3 times, like 2 times longer than the manga. The anime has like 100 episodes if you are counting the 2 seasons I watched, and the manga is just, if I'm not mistaken, it's just 55 chapters. So that is a lot to get it in. But anyway, I already talked too much in this light. Magical Boy series. Here, pay attention to this note, Samurai Flamenco. If I'm counting Tokusatsu Henshin Heroes as Magical Boys, then this counts too, because I really like Samurai Flamenco. It's very good, very, very pog. You will probably get a little more enjoyment out of it if you're already familiar with Tokusatsu and Kamen Rider and Super Sentai and that stuff, but it's like a very, very good anime. It's definitely like a love letter to tokusatsu in general. It's very fun, and it's kind of in that territory where like they are trying very hard not to outright say the male characters are in a relationship or at the very least like each other. Like it's that era where they're still like trying to be subtle. How do you say that in English? Subtle? Subtle about things. Tarazamai. Please forgive the quality of this image. Again, I did these slides in a rush, but Tarazamai also very good. It's directed by Ikuhara, who directed Utena and Yurikuma Arashi, which are two, like, I know Utena is largely considered to be a magical girl anime, and while I didn't watch it, what I do know about people talking about Ikuhara, it's that it's very much like queer anime in general, and Sarazamai is very, very good. I do consider it to have, like, basically the essential structure for a magical boy anime. The boys turn into these kappa thingies, and they, like, kind of fight monsters that are made out of people's, like, weird obsessions. It's been a while since I watched it, but it's very good. It's one of those things that is like, it's so good that I don't even know how to like promote it to people, you know? Like, you know how when something, you know that thing where like, it's much easier to talk about something you don't like because it's easier to point out the flaws, but then by consequence it's much harder to talk about something you do like because sometimes it's harder to figure out what you like about it. That is me with Sarazamai, and as a segue, it's also me with Fairy Ramaru. I originally planned to have Fairy Ramaru be one of the series that I was gonna actually put in main focus for this stream, but I realized I don't know how to talk about Fairy Ramaru. Like, the most that I can say is that, like, most of the complaints I see people say about it, I think are kind of bullshit. But it's very hard to explain why I like it beyond just I like that there are more attempts at doing magical boy anime. It's especially like something that is a bit more out there. It definitely feels like they could have done even better if they had more budget. I kind of joked with my friend that like Fairy Ramaru is low-key Sarazamai if Sarazamai had the budget of $5. But anyway, then Tokusatsu Henshin Heroes, because again I did mention those. Kamen Rider Rolls, very good. Literally changed my life, the way I look at things and stuff. I think this low-key gave me an existential crisis at one point. Zio, again, one thing that I know a lot of people don't like, but I will defend it in my life because it's fun. I like the characters, and my goal in life is to become Sogo. I wanna wear Sogo skin and just look like him. Kamen Rider Drive. Again, a very fun season, and it appeals to me specifically because it has a lot of robots, and I like robots. And specifically plots about like robots learning to become human, and Daniel. Everyone loves Daniel for a reason. It's a fun season, and even though it's like a more lighthearted and jokey season, it very much has its very touching moments, and I'll say it clearly has like a very good understanding of its themes about time and stuff. Like, it works those themes really, really well. Avatar Sentai Zone Brothers, I will admit I haven't finished this yet, but it's partially exactly because I like it so much that I haven't finished it. Like, sometimes when I'm watching or reading a thing that I really like, I kind of procrastinate on finishing it exactly because I like it and I don't want it to end. And as you can see, I watch a lot more Kamen Rider than Super Sentai. The only Super Sentai season I have watched beyond Dawn Brothers, like, okay, not really the only one I have watched. The only one I finished is Gokaiger. But Dawn Brothers, I really, really like. It's funny, it's ridiculous, but it's also, I think it's exactly because it's ridiculous that I find it so fun. Like, literally every episode I would watch, I would then immediately just like go to my sibling and like try to explain what happened, because like Like, it's such insanity that you feel like you have to tell someone else about it, trying to like make sense of what the hell you just witnessed. Anyways, the series we'll be focusing on today are Pinocchio Coach Kyubo Happy Kiss, or which I'm just gonna be calling Happy Kiss for short. I will talk about the Boebo series in general, but Happy Kiss is gonna be the focus because it's my favorite. And you can fight me about it. And these two are mangas. It's Bokuro wa Mahou Shonen and Tokyo Mew Mew Ole, or Owlate, like AU space LAIT, like the way you say like an owlate drink. Anyways, moving on. A bit about Boebo in general. It's more comedy focused and character focused. It's very much fujo bait, so like don't expect anything like canonically confirmed between the characters, even if they are very much teasing like relationships between the boys and stuff. It has a bit of a hot springs awesome theme. The boys are always going to the same bathhouse after school, and all their surnames are onsen names. Sometimes there have even been some real life collabs with those onsens. Like as an example, we have Hakone is an onsen, Yufuen is an onsen, Arima, Shuzenji, Ibusuki, Karurusu, Furanui. These are all like names of Japanese onsen. It currently has the franchise as a whole. It currently has 2 series with 1 upcoming. The first one is Love. Love aired in 2015 and has 2 seasons, 1 OVA, many side canons. Has a game that went end of service. It was actually kind of like 2 games, because like it was first like a dating sim for this first season, and then the second season it added kind of a second game to it that was a puzzle game, and it had 2 manga runs, and the second one was cancelled. Oof. It has some light novel volumes. If I'm not mistaken, it has 3 volumes, I think. But I think when it comes to fan translations, the fan translations only got to the 2nd volume. It also got a movie this year to celebrate its 10th anniversary. It's called Eternal Love. Happy Kiss aired in 2018. It has only 1 season, but the characters make a brief appearance in Eternal Love, the 10th anniversary movie for Love, and as always, it's also my favorite of the show. Haikara was announced a while after Eternal Love came out, and is set to start airing on July 7th. I have some mixed feelings about the information we've gotten so far, but I'm trying to stay optimistic. Also, the Stormfront designs are really cool. I will be sincere and say I am actually trying to be optimistic, even if I will have to like just ignore everyone else while watching this season. Because as a Happy Kiss fan, I have seen things when it comes to like season wars in Boebo fandom. Like I would rather not see that stuff happening again. There's also an upcoming browser game called Love Macho. It was originally announced to release in 2024, but was then delayed to summer 2025. Hey, Boebo staff, could we please just release this already, please? I am warning everyone that if this comes out, I am going to basically become a Love Macho streamer. Nothing but Love Macho for you. You have to understand that a game for Boebo, it's gonna take up my whole brain, probably. Anyways, for every season, the concept is that the Earth Defense Club is a do-nothing club that ends up being chosen by a magical creature to become magical boys. Meanwhile, the student council... Council? Am I pronouncing that right? Again, how? Wait, I'm gonna have to check this. Council. Okay, it's starting to not sound like a real word anymore. So, anyways, the student council is the one chosen by an opposing magical creature to be the villains that make the monsters of the week. We'll focus on Happy Kiss a little more today since it's my favorite, but there's also a lightning round. But here is also a lightning round of things I like about Love. Funny. It's very, very funny. It's like my exact type of humor. It's like a bit bonkers. Like, okay, if I'm gonna compare it to other comedy anime, it's like, I would say it's the level of comedy as like Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun. So if you like that style of humor, of like, it's not super just fluffy life of life thingies, but but like it has some pretty like absurd things going on. It's that type of stuff. Yumoto is cute. Yumoto is the blonde boy. He's like the main magical boy of the team. He's the red one. He's very, very cute, and I don't know what else to say. He's just very cute and he's very funny. Yu is cute. Why did I freeze while talking about him? Ryu is cute. He's like his gimmick is that he's a womanizer, which is funny because Boeibo kind of has a role of never showing girls on screen. Like, one of the boys mentions that he has a sister, but that's it. Like, the most that we have of girls in Boeibo is the game protagonist in the dating sim and the puzzle game. So it's very funny that his whole gimmick is that he's always going out with girls, he's a womanizer, he's always texting, he's always like has like 3 dates, but we just never see those girls. It's also very funny because this is a Fujo Bait anime. Again, it's a Fujo Bait anime and he's a womanizer. There's actually one episode when one of the boys points out, hey, you always say that you have like 20 fucking dates in a week, but I've never seen you with a girl. And also Kinshiro is very good. Kinshiro is a pog character. Look at him. And also, the ending theme for the first season is Peak. I miss you. Itoji Sasae. Setsuna Sasae. Okay, sorry. Okay, now time for the plug one. Happy Kiss. I have no... disaster almost happened here. My water bottle almost fell over onto like my keyboard, my mouse, and my tablet. This could have been a disaster live on stream. But anyways, Happy Kiss time. Time for Peak. It's set in the same town as Love, Binan City, but aside from a brief cameo in episode 11, Love isn't really relevant to Happy Kiss, so you can understand Happy Kiss even if you don't watch Love. The source of their magic powers is also completely disconnected from Love's plot. This idea of a cast switch is probably gonna feel weird if you're not familiar with other franchises that do it, such as Precure, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, that also switch their cast for every new season. And actually, I very much always compare this to like Precure having Futariwa and then Futariwa Max Heart, which was a sequel to Futariwa. But then after Max Heart, they went for Splash Star, which had like similar design concepts, but when I really look at it, Splash Star is not that similar to Futariwa. Like, I will fight people that say there are too many similarities between Happy Kiss and Love, because really, if you really think about it, there isn't that many. Anyways, the basic setup is that Furanui and Karorusu are 2 princes from a magic kingdom, being sent to Earth to compete against each other for the throne. Furanui takes the Student Council, making the Monsters of the Week, while Karorusu takes the Earth Defense Club. This plot is mostly relevant for episodes 1, 2, and 12. Most of everything else focuses on the Monster of the Week shenanigans and the human boys being silly. It's very much a character-focused show more than a plot-focused show. Like, if you're looking for plot and something serious, Boeibo is not really gonna fit the bill. Like Boeibo is very much a show that's just trying to be funny and to sell your characters. Furanui and Karorusu, they have like animal forms. Furanui is a blue fox and Karorusu is a yellow otter, but they also have human forms. Like, can I pull this up in a quick way? Or is it gonna be too hard? Let me see. Oh shit. Anyways, since we are in Clip Studio, I did not realize we were opening Clip Studio. I did not realize that it was showing on my stream. Anyways, okay, this is Furanui. He's the younger brother. He's like very grumpy and stuff. And then here is Karorusu. As you can see, they have human forms. However, for some reason, they don't really use their human forms that much. It's something that I always found really funny. Like, from a marketing standpoint, you give the mascot pretty boy forms, but then you hardly use them, like be it in the show or like in marketing material. Like generally, I think the only marketing material that uses their human forms is one of the Blu-ray and DVD covers. Like that's just so weird to me. Anyways, why do I like it more than Love? It's hard to pinpoint exact reasons. I guess the character dynamics and archetypes present in Happy Kiss just appeal to me a lot more. And I do have some notes for this. Like, as an example, Io isn't... Love has Io. Io isn't a bad character, but his gimmick is that he's a guy who only cares about money. And again, while he isn't a bad character, that is a gimmick that is like kind of hard to sell people to. Like it makes him a bit of a difficult character to understand, because pretty much everything he does is connected to the fact that he really likes money. Like he's definitely one of those characters that you kind of start to get more if you get into the side canons. Like on one of the light novels we see that he apparently lives alone. Like he's a teenager, why is he living alone? And he also has a very like ominous line in one of the episodes about how like money doesn't betray, but they never really go in depth about that. But anyways, and aside from that, the Happy Kiss characters don't have as many setting stone duels as Love. Like in the Love Defense Club you have Anne and Natsushi and Yo and Rio as very clear, like almost isolated duels with themselves. Like Atsushi and Anne don't really have as much settled dynamics between the other boys aside from themselves. And same thing for Yo and Rio. Like you don't really see Yo and Rio interact with Yumoto or Anne and Atsushi all that much. They're mostly really talking with each other. However, in Happy Kiss, the majority of the Defense Club has something going on with like at least two characters rather than just one. So like taking Nanao as an example, Nanao is the green senpai. His character gimmick is that he is the senpai. He does care a lot about his kohai, but he also really likes teasing them. He specifically really likes teasing Ichiro and Ryoma. Like, if this was Love, Nana will probably only be teasing one of them and having that dynamic only with one of them and really not having much of anything with the other characters. And even then, even when we go to Ryoma and Ichiro, Ryoma doesn't just have this dynamic in Nanawa. He also has a friendship with Kyotaro, who he's kind of like almost a caretaker for Kyotaro, because Kyotaro's whole thing is that he's always like falling asleep in random places. And he kind of basically always needs Ryoma to be there babysitting him. And for Ichiro, he has a lot of moments with the other first year of the group, Taishi. And even though Kyotaro and Taishi don't really talk with each other, they do have a lot of cool dynamics when you put the student council in the mix as well. And I will say, in Love, the student council also has pretty limited dynamics with the other characters. Like, Akoya is pretty much restricted to just Yo and Ryu. Meanwhile, yeah, the student council adds a lot to those dynamics as well. And one thing that I forgot to bring up in these notes is that, like, another thing that I think makes Happy Kiss, like, stand out from Love quite a bit is that the two teams already know their respective identities. Like, the student council knows that the Karurosu Knights are the defense club, and the defense club already knows that the Edelstein is the student council. But even though they still have a lot of cool moments in, like, they're in their civilian forms and they are like doing some random shit together because it happened. I think that adds a lot of fun stuff to their dynamics that isn't really there in Love. It's not really a flaw for Love to be like that, but again, it's something I think makes Happy Kiss a little more fun in that sense. I spent a lot of time in this first note, but anyways, Ichiro is very cute. I love his blushy face. Now I should tease him more. because he looks very cute when he blushes. I really like Karurusu. Again, he's the yellow otter. He's the older brother. He's a bit of a dumbass. Dumbass? Okay, dumbass. He's kind of silly, and he's funny. I legitimately think he only has one brain cell, and that brain cell is only concerned with happy. I like the Magical Boy outfit designs a little more Tumblr's Magical Boy designs, and actually parts of my Magical Boy form on my VTuber design are inspired by specifically the Happy Kiss designs. Like, if you pay, like, let's go back to this image. Like, if you pay close-ish attention, you can see that, like, especially if I pull this up, like, I have the scarf going up here, I have these puffy shorts that I actually decided on because I noticed these shorts on Ichiro and Taishi were cute, and I have like these parts of my glove like looking kind of like flower petals. I don't know. I personally kind of like really associate them with flower petals, but yeah, it ended up being a pretty clear inspiration for me when making my VTuber design. Anyway, let's go. No, oh shit! I'm going way too far. And also, I noticed it's probably gonna be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I kind of prefer the conflict between Ata and Kyotaro over the one between Kinshiro and Atsushi in love. I wrote this wrong. It's not supposed to end. It's not supposed to be end. It's supposed to be in. Okay. But anyways, I'm not gonna say the specifics because, again, part of my goal with this stream is that, like, you go out there and check this series out for yourself. But like, a very big point of, like, conflict between, like, love versus Happy Kiss is that, like, people always say that the conflicts between Ata and Kyotaro and the conflict between Kinshiro and Atsushi are too similar, but I personally disagree. I don't think they do have their similarities, but I do not think they're similar enough to just be a rehash of what love did. And also the way that Ata and Kyotaro's dynamic is in Happy Kiss is pretty different from Atsushi and Kinshiro in love. Like in love, Atsushi and Kinshiro are very clearly not friends anymore, but in Happy Kiss, at least Kyotaro is trying to be friendly, and he actually has Ata's number. Like, things are definitely not great between them, but there is some kind of relationship between them still. And final point, it really has the funniest episode ever in the whole series, Happy Old Man, which is the 10th episode of Happy Kiss, and Love Wishes it had an episode as funny as that. It's really literally peak Happy Kiss. It's an episode where the Monster of the Week's gimmick is that he's turning the Happy Kiss boys into old men, and they have it goes into a very, very funny skit. Like, Nanao has 20 billion health issues, Ichiro can't see shit, and so he keeps thinking that random objects are his senpais. It's very, very good. It's very funny. If you are gonna watch just one episode of Happy Kiss, watch episode 10. It's hilarious. Anyways, next up is Bokura wa Mahou Shonen. It's a manga that not many people know about, but I really, really like it. So, here you go. It's a manga that started in 2018 and ended in 2021. It's basically centered around the gimmick that the characters are all magical boys, where they essentially turn into fanboys when they transform. But on top of that, it has really neat world building, and its themes center quite a lot on self-confidence and my god, why can't I speak? Self-acceptance. Self-acceptance. English is a weird language, okay? It also has a good emphasis on the idea of, like, it's okay to be a boy who likes feminine things. looks feminine, which is a moral I personally have a lot of attachment to. Like, I guess you can tell that I don't really sound very masculine, so, like, I'm not gonna get into details, but you can, like, assume what you want. And unlike a good chunk of magical girls or boy stories, rather than the magical boy aspects being about monster fighting, it's about helping people in general. The magical boys get crystals from the gratitude people feel for them. And then that ties into the world building aspect where like the crystals they can use as like money in the magical roles that they get their powers from, and there's like eventually there's an arc where there's like a competition for like which magical boys have gotten the most crystals in the last year and stuff. And there's like it has like a very characteristic point of like there are multiple magical boys, like there are fucking hundreds of magical boys around the world. Even if you're focusing on specific boys, there are like hundreds of them, and they are like, so there's like a lot of very, very cute designs, even if they only show up for like 5 minutes. Like, there's a lot of very, very cute stuff in this manga. And while there is a plot and even specific arts, those take their time to develop. It kind of starts just playing around / exploring its setting and characters. Like, it's definitely like a slow build towards the plot that it's building up. All the main characters are very good, but my personal favorite is definitely Akito / Lofty Purple. He has a temper problem, he's also a fucking nerd and a bit of a boy filler gremlin, and he has a very, very cool arc. Like, Purple is boy right here. I might be biased because I really like Purple. However, I also really like kind of like assholes. he has problems, but he kind of has reasons. So I also really like Raecords / Charging Red, which is this guy right here. And I would have gotten more example images of Rakuto, but like, again, I did these slides in kind of a rush, so I wanted to focus on my actual best boy. So yeah, like, Akito is actually first introduced as an antagonist. He's like, his way of getting gratitude from people is that he beats up bullies, but like in very, very violent ways. And so like the gratitude he gets is like vengeance from the kids that got bullied, which is very interesting. It's like showing that like our gratitude is not always like a wholesome and pure feeling, you know? Like, you can be grateful for bad things, just like how you can love bad things. It's something that I find very interesting, but then he, like, basically the protagonist beats him up hard enough that people don't take him seriously anymore, and then he kind of has to, like, figure out, like, okay, how do I get crystals now? And so he kind of turns into a bit of a better person. And eventually you also learn what his motives for becoming a magical boy are, because, like, again, as I said, the themes are very much about self-confidence and self-acceptance. And the thing about Bakura Mahou Shonen is that the word they give to their magical powers is girliness. And in the world of Bakura Mahou Shonen, girliness is like the power of... It's kind of your self-worth, or like it gets stronger with your self-confidence. And like Akito, there's a point where he makes a point of saying that like he doesn't like the feminine outfit, but he likes the ego boost he gets from people complimenting him and stuff. And you might be able to tell that these designs on the edges are slightly different from the colored ones here. It's because these ones on the edge are Lala girliness. It's like a powered up version. Like, you know how in Precure sometimes you get power-ups that like show up for like just an attack and stuff. Think of this kind of like this, kind of like those things. Like Lala girliness is like the ultimate like super strong form of their self-confidence and stuff. Another thing I wanted to point out is like when it comes to these themes of like self-acceptance, self-confidence, like the two main boys are Kaito and Makoto. Kaito is the pink one and Makoto is the blue one. And I think one thing that is very interesting is that like, at least at first, Kaito doesn't really like the fact that he's like cross-dressing when he's a magical boy, until he realizes, oh, actually I am very cute when I'm a magical boy. But Kaito has a lot of self-confidence already. What he needs to work on throughout the first chapter is that like, the first chapters is accepting that he is cute, he thinks he is cute. He doesn't mind other people thinking he looks cute and stuff. Like his ability to be a hero, let's say, is not like tied to him looking traditionally cool, let's say. Meanwhile, Makoto, he is very much like confident in his looks. Like Makoto is very like almost a little bit too blunt about the fact that he thinks he's cute. But Makoto doesn't have as much like self-worth or like self-confidence as Kaito does, which I think like kind of encompasses the themes of the story very well. Like they both like represent different aspects of what the story is trying to tell people. And Rakuto is a bit of a mystery. Like, I will admit, I have not finished reading this manga because there is no official translation. There are fan translations, however, for a very long time, the fan translation only went as far as the 4th volume. It was only like 1 or 2 years ago that someone else picked it up to translate the remaining chapters. And even then, that scanlation is still not finished, and I am not up to date to that scanlation. But I will still say that it is a very, very good manga, and I think you should check it out. And one of my main points, the art style is very, very cute. Like, it was one of the things that like drew me in to it. It kind of feels like a mix of anime and sort of like a cartoonish style, because like it is kind of chibi, but it's not a kind of chibi that you really see very often. And I really like the way the mangaka draws the feet and the shoes. Like it's like the tippy tappies. I don't know, everything is just very. I love this style, even if I can't replicate it when I try to draw. And of course, I used this as an excuse to show you more Akito because Akito is my baby. This is the last one we are gonna be talking about for today, but it's one I really, really like. If you watched my Undertale streams with Merengue, you know I mentioned that I got really, really obsessed with this for like a week a while ago because I was rereading it and it took over my brain all over again. Yes, it's Tokyo Mew Mew only. It's a Tokyo Mew Mew spin-off that started in 2019 and ended in 2022 with a total of 32 chapters. You do not need to know anything about the original Tokyo Mew Mew to enjoy it. I myself knew basically nothing about it aside from magical girls with animal ears. And the fact that one of the girls is named Letasu. Who the fuck names a character Lettuce? But anyways, the Mew Mews this time are now all Ikemen, aka like good-looking boys, like Ikemen boys, but there's also a normal girl protag, Anzu, who is obsessed with endangered species, and that is mainly how she ties into the series' messaging of nature preservation. It has a lot of romance and a reverse heron vibe, which I actually quite like, because I am a sucker for reverse herons. You can pry them from my cold dead hands. I have a very basic taste. And that taste is, if I see a cute anime boy, I go brrrr. Has some comedy moments, but it's a lot more plot focused, while still giving us plenty of time to grow to like most of the characters. I say most because like if I'm not mistaken, I will actually get to this a little bit later, but there's actually 2 characters that I feel get like the short end of the stick compared to everyone else. But in general, I think the whole manga does a really good time of does a really good job of like making you care and understand everyone and like start to care about everything that happened to them and what they want and all that stuff. And on that note, the writing is just peak to me. It took a few chapters for it to really click with me, but once Hiro got introduced in chapter 8, I got so obsessed with it. I read everything else within like 2 days. This was the first time, this is referring to like the first time I read this, which was like actually, if I'm not mistaken, I started reading it like at some point while it was still running, but I read just like a few chapters and then I went like, okay, it's cute, I'll finish it later. And then at one point, and way after, like once it was already done serializing, I picked it up again. I read through some of the first chapters pretty slowly, and then I got to chapter 8, and it's what it says here. I ended up reading everything else within 2 days. Like if we do the calculations, it has a total of 32 chapters, right? So 32, and then it was only after chapter 8 that I got obsessed. I read 24 chapters within 2 days. I think that is a lot for me. Like, I don't usually read that much in just 2 days. Actually, not for like a single series. So usually when I am reading manga, I read a bunch of stuff like alternating within the same day. So it's wild. I also reread it very recently, and that's all I could think about during the week I was doing so. Like I mentioned before, I feel I could talk about just this manga on its own for hours, but unfortunately I need to keep things somewhat condensed. But either way, lightning round of things I like about it. Characters are very good in general. Everyone is good in their own right, but I'd say my top ones are Latte, Shibuya, Hiro, and Anzu. Shibuya is the main cat boy, and Anzu, as I said, is the main girl, who is like, again, really ties into... She's like the main tie to the nature preservation themes, because she is obsessed with endangered animals and stuff. Like, all of the monsters they fight are basically endangered animals, like corrupted by an alien like virus, if I'm not mistaken. And then like Anzu, being the one that is obsessed with endangered animals, she is like, this is gonna be a slightly funny comparison, but it's just like the tuxedo mask in the old Sailor Moon anime, where she's like, she is the one giving the instructions to everything. Like, she is the one that realizes, oh, this is this animal, and there is such and such fun fact about it. Which means that to defeat this monster, we need to do XYZ, which is very cool. And Ryusei and Maka are also very good. And Ryusei is the blonde guy. He is really dumb in a good way. Like, I'd say he's like a himbo. Because he's like, he is the strong guy, but he does not understand anything. Like, he doesn't even know his own animal's name. He's supposed to be a Komodo dragon, but he keeps saying he's a Kodomo dragon, which is really funny. Like, there's so many things that happen in this manga, and Ryusei say some stupid shit where I'm like, how the fuck is he alive? How is this teenager allowed to do anything alone? How does he not like get lost when he tries to go to school or something? Anyways, the art is very pretty. Again, if I hadn't procrastinated and then needed to rush to do these slides, I would have gotten more examples of like moments that are like very pretty in the manga. But how fast is better than no S. So anyways, like this one is a double spread, which is like, when I saw this in my last reread, I was like, man, this is really good. like, oh yeah, there is one of the like the mangaka commentary parts in like one of the extras and stuff where like the mangaka says, oh, since the concept was like Tokyo Mew Mew but with pretty boys, I tried my best to make everything look pretty and not make anything look bad. And I will say, Miss, you did a really good job. Everything in this manga looks really stunning, especially like the dramatic scenes, like this one, like it's just wonderful. But I like other things that I like about it. The themes. Its main theme is nature preservation and delves quite a bit into human nature. I think it does a very good job in getting to its hopeful ending by displaying the way different characters change throughout the story. I'd say Latte, Shibuya, and Hiro are the main examples of this. And what I mean by this is that like again the themes is nature preservation, like, right? And like kind of like the whole thing is getting to the conclusion that like no, we can't just wipe humanity away for the sake of nature, you know? And like it's kind of natural that to get to that you need to the story kind of needs to present proof that humanity can change, that humans in general can change. And like I think regardless of how you feel about that in like an actual real world context, I think that like the best way you did this is exactly like showing the way that different characters change throughout the story, like because of the people around them and like how they become better people. Shibuya specifically has a lot of like his main thing is exactly that like he doesn't see himself as a hero. Like most of the other Mew Mews have like some sort of gimmick to them, and or at least like some kind of talent or something like that. And for Shibuya, his thing is exactly that like he has no talent, he only has his looks, and he's like not very confident, and he doesn't see himself as someone who like deserves to be the one who saves the world. But like eventually, because of his friendship with the boys and because of how his relationship with Anzu developed, he starts to get to the point where he at least wants to do his best to be an actual hero, you know? And I think there's also many points in the story that you can point to like some things being like dehumanizing, especially like with the villains, where like the villains have a thing where like their only purpose to their leader is exactly like just do what I tell you to do and forget about your feelings or your morals, which again I think it's kind of neat to have that dehumanizing aspect to them, to like contrast with the way the Mew Mews are very much human and allowed to feel things despite being heroes. Like again, I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but like I could, if I were to be getting into spoilers, I could spend hours just talking about Latte, who is like the main guy among the antagonist trio. And on a point, it actually made me cry at the ending even upon rereading it. Yes, I cry pretty easily, but that's still an important factor to me. Like, I cry easily, but I don't cry with just anything, you know? Like, I still have standards, so if something reaches my standard of like, it made me cry, I think it deserves a pat on the back for that, at the very least. I think this is the last slide. We came a long way. I just wanted to do something silly. Conclusion, I just really like Magical Boys. I don't know what else to say. I just wanted to do something silly for my birthday. That rhymed. Believe me, I was not my intention for this to rhyme, but it happened. Even if you don't end up watching / reading any of the stuff I talked about today, I hope this was at least entertaining. Even if you're watching the VOD rather than being here live, I still appreciate you being here for this and listening to me yap about the things I like. Again, as I'm saying here, part of my intention is that you do go out there and watch the stuff that you watch and read the stuff that you watch, Happy Kiss that you read, Okuroama Shonen and Takumimu Ole. But even if you don't, but if this was at least somewhat fun for you to watch, I will consider it a job well done for me. I hope it came across like just how much I care about this stuff, like how much I like these shows. Editing me here again because there's something I was going to bring up but then completely forgot to add in the slideshow or to bring up during the stream. Oops. So as someone who does like magical girls a lot and does sometimes look for different stuff to add to my read later list, I did notice that Phantom Thief magical girls aren't all that unusual. You have Suntail, you have Kamikaze Kaito-jan, and even for magical boys you have Dian Angel as a sort of magical boy Phantom Thief. So could we consider magical Phantom Thief to be a sort of subgenre of magical girls and boys? In that case, is Persona 5 a magical boys and girls game?